This is the skeleton of a 12-hand Dartmoor pony, and it is such a beautiful example. Very few pathologies, really clean bones, lovely clean joints. So it's worth comparing the bones, the joint surfaces, and how smooth all the bones are generally on Marvin's skeleton compared to Freddie and any of the other skeletons in the collection. Particularly notice the facet joints. These are sort of these semicircular, half circle shape joints, and they are really smooth and clean. Look at the tops of the spinous processes. See how smooth and clean they are. This is what they should look like in a healthy horse. Compare this to the older skeleton, the older spine of Freddie Fox, who's 25 years old, and we've got a real difference for comparison. As well, thinking about anomalies. So we all learn when we study anatomy the numbers of vertebrae there should be within the spine. 7 cervical vertebrae, 18 thoracic, 6 lumbar, 5 sacral, 18 to 22 tail vertebrae, and that we learn is normal. But there is some variation. Variation is quite common, normally not in the total number, but you might have a variation, for example, 1 less thoracic vertebrae, 1 more lumbar vertebrae. Well, with Marvin, the difference that we see, the anomaly that we see, is within the sacrum, because rather than there being 5 sacral vertebrae, we can actually see that there are 6 sacral vertebrae, or you could just say that the first tail vertebrae is fused onto the end of the sacrum. Either way, this would be considered unusual, a variation from normal. With Marvin, and when we say Marvin, first of all, let's think about the gender of this horse. How can you tell just by looking at the skeleton whether it's a male or a female? Well, one good thing to look out for is the teeth. So if we look in this space here, you can see that there are no tushes. So go and have a look at some of the other skeletons in the Horses Inside Out collection and spot whether the horse has tushes or not. Usually females do not have tushes, these canine teeth. Sometimes they do, they're very, very small, but they're always present in geldings or in male horses. On the left side of Marvin, we have these green labels. Some of them are already in place, and this is a great opportunity. If you find the box here, you can have a go at labelling the names of the bones. You can stick the names of the bones on the relevant sticky pads on each of the bones. And just to give you a bit of guidance, we have labelled the names of the bones using the abbreviation. So for example, cervical is abbreviated to C. And then there's the number, so C1 is the first cervical vertebrae running through to C7. The thoracic, there are 18 thoracic vertebrae, the abbreviation is T, so we have T1 through to T18. Lumbar, the abbreviation is L. Sacrum, the abbreviation is S. And then for the tail, or coccygeal vertebrae, it's CY, or sometimes you'll read CD. And it has to be different, of course, to C, which stands for the cervical vertebrae. So hopefully that will help you with some of these labellings. The other thing that challenges quite a few people is the carpal and the tarsal bones. These, of course, are equivalent to our wrist and our ankle. It's basically 2 rows of 3 bones with an extra bone coming out the back here. And I think one thing that I can tell you that'll help you with the labelling of these is that the upper row of bones are named. So for example, we've got the intermediate carpal, which means the middle, the radial carpus, nearest to the radius, and the ulnar carpal, nearest to the ulnar. But then the lower row are numbered. And if you think about our own digits, 1 would be our thumb going to the outside 5. Of course, the horse doesn't have 5 digits. So instead, we're saying 2 is on the inside, 3, 4, and then round to the outside here. So it's numbered inside to outside. Hopefully that will help you with that. And the same with the hind leg in the hock. That numbering and labelled name system applies the same. On this right-hand side of Marvin, we have the opportunity to label up the bony landmarks, the parts of the skeleton that you can actually feel from the outside. So this is for the more adventurous or maybe the more advanced amongst you to have a go at. And there's a box for each section. So for example, the head, the spine, the forelimbs and the hind limbs. So once again, you can find the name and stick it on the relevant sticky part. This is a fabulous opportunity to really learn more about the horse's skeleton and get familiar with the vocabulary, both the names of the bones and the bony landmarks. And of course, once you've had a go at this activity, there is the answer sheet guide for you to check that you've got them all in the right place. If you'd like to have the opportunity to get hands-on and learn with Marvin and the other skeletons and specimens in our collection, do come along to the Horses Inside Out Anatomy exhibition, which we run every August.